sells wholesale plywood. So it may have a few nicks in it or dents or something. Usually you can cut it out and still use it for a fraction of the price of what you buy plywood at a hardware store for. So, but we're going to build a cabinet for the bathroom. We're going to build it out of plywood, and we're going to pocket screw it all. We decided not to use dados in it because this is going to hold towels and stuff. So we shouldn't have no issues with that. The pocket screws are a pretty stout way to build a cabinet, really, and it's easy and fast. So we're headed that way to get the plywood. All right, we got our sheets of plywood unloaded. This cabinet, I'm looking at about $70 total in it, and it's going to be stouter than any cabinet you're going to get from a box store. It's going to outlast one. Of course, I'm buying my plywood from a wholesaler. So here's the cabinet, the drawing I drew, if you make any sense out of it. But let's see, there we go. So bottom's going to have some doors. You're going to have one shelf here, 2 and 3 shelves there. The dimensions, you're looking at 71.5 inches tall, 14 inches deep, 22 inches wide. So let's get everything marked up. We're going to rip all our plywood. Everything ripped. We got our 2 sides, we've got our 5 shelves, and then we got our top to our cabinet. So next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the palm sander and I'm going to go through and sand all these shelves. It's easier to get to it and just get a good sanding and before we put it together. And then after we sand, we'll go to our pocket hose and we'll drill for our pocket hose and all our shelves in our top. All right, guys, we got everything sanded. So I went through bins. This is second plywood. There is some imperfections, so I went through and picked out my best sides to know which side I'm going to pocket hose screw. So that's our next step. We're going to drill everything, set it up in our Kreg jig, and drill it for pocket hose. So that's what we're getting ready to do. All right, so we got all our pocket hose drilled. We got the top. This is the top of our cabinet. That's for the top plate that goes across the top. And then we got each shelf pocket hole drilled. We didn't actually measure them out. We just put 3 per side on each shelf. So we got them done. Next thing is we're going to, this is our sides. This is the inside of our sides. So we're going to pull a tape measure and we're going to mark a line for each top to mark the top of each shelf all the way through here so you can get it all squared up, and then we'll start screwing our shelves on. All right, so each one of these lines that I marked across both sides, that kind of represents the top of my shelf. That's what I'm going to match it up to. So let's get started screwing our shelves in place. All right, so we're going to start putting our pocket hose screws in. What we'll do is we add a layer of wood glue in between each layer before we actually glue it. So we'll put a little bit of a layer here, just like that. All right, and then I'll use a popsicle stick to actually spread it out there a little bit, make a nice thin layer. Then we get ready to put our board on, our piece of plywood. This is actually the top of the cabinet. And we'll put the clamp behind it to actually hold it in place. Make sure it's good and tight. And then this is our screws. We'll go ahead and drive one in. Just like that there. So all right, we're going to finish the rest up. All right, guys, we got everything done up here. So our next step is we're going to work on the face frame. First thing we'll do is sand all this front down as good as we can and match up all these lines as good as we possibly can. And then we'll start ripping our face frame pieces out of 1x4. So what we'll do is it'll be 1.5 inches all the way around. for here, 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 top, and this piece here will be 2 inches, because there's going to be doors down here on this portion. And then this bottom piece, I think we measured, it's going to be about 3 inches down there. So we'll get everything cut, and we'll go from there and start putting them in place. Face frame pieces cut, but I never cut these pieces that go down through the shelves, the center here. I don't cut it the exact measurement. So the first thing I do is get them pre-cut to close, and then what I'll do is get my overhang on each side for the top of the cabinet, and then I'll clamp it down and get my exact measurement. And then I'll put me a cutting block on my miter saw, and I'll cut these the exact measurements so the face frame is the exact same width all the way down. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get our measurement here and cut these to exact measurement. Alright, so we got our cuts done to our final cut. So what we're going to do is we clamp both sides down to our face frame. So what we'll do is put this in here, get it to where we want it, and then a lot of times I'll draw a line straight across here. You can see it. And then as I'm pocket screwing this back together, I'll just line that line up all the way down through there. The top is pretty much a given. It's going to be flush up here. But and sometimes I even number them. So, all right, we got all our face frame pieces cut, and we got everything cut, and then we got our pocket holes set in there. And then I'll show you here. We put everything in place, kind of got it clamped, but how we marked them, 1, 1, when we had it sitting on the actual cabinet, kind of lining things up. So once you pull it back off and cut your pocket hole screws, or drill them, you can bring it back over to the table and kind of start clamping it together. So that's what we're going to do, is start to screw this thing back together here. Alright, we got our face frame, we got it all together. We took the sander, the palm sander, went around, sanded the ends where they match up pretty smooth, and just get a good sanding on it before we put it together. So our next step is we're going to put a layer of glue down, and then we're going to line everything up. Then we're going to use our finish nailer. We're using 1.5 inch finish nails, straight nails. That's what we're going to tack it down with. And then we'll go from there. We'll get this ready to go. Alright, so we got the face frame nailed down, everything attached, it's all set up. We went ahead and filled the wood filler in the nail holes. So our next step is basically we're going to take 1/4 inch plywood, and we're going to make a backing for it and just finish nail that on. We'll have to measure that, and then we're going to start working on this door. We're just going to make one solid door. It's going to cover these bottom 2 shelves. We'll measure that, and what we're going to do is take 1x4s, We're going to rip them down 1.5 inches for the frame, and then we're going to cut a dado, and then we're going to do a tendon on both sides of the door frame, and it'll go into the top. So let's get the back cut, and we'll nail that on. 1/4-inch plywood all cut and ready to go. We got the cabinet face frame down, so we'll just square this up, and what we're going to use is we're going to use a air stapler and staple the back down. Get it good and square. All right, looks pretty close. Yep, looks good. So we're going to get some staples in this. Go ahead and rip our 1x4s down to all 1.5 inches, and we got our bottom, our top, and then our sides and side. So now what we're going to do is cut our dado down the middle for our plywood. All right, let's get them cut. We got all our pieces cut, got our dados cut, we got our tendons cut. This is our sheet for our panel for our door. This is the front side, this is the back. So now what we're going to do is slide all this together, and then we'll glue everything up, put it in clamp. All right, well, got wrapped up the actual build of the cabinet. I kind of give you a little walk around real quick. Let me grab the camera. All right, so there she is. It ain't perfect, but it'll work. There's and then the door. I have them down there like that. That's how the door turned out. So there you go. There's the final product there. So basically, I'm by far not a professional, but I just want to, I don't know, be an inspiration to somebody. Just use what you got. Pocket screws, and I got a wholesaler I get plywood from, and that seems to be a pretty common thing in areas that you can find a wholesaler on plywood. So, and then I just used 1x4s. I mean, it would have been even better if I had a planer to plane all this, but I didn't plane none of it and join it, and it would have just made so much better. But so now basically we're going to sand it down and paint it and get it ready to go. But actually the video is just the actual build. So just a little recap. I pocket screwed everything, and that's going to be plenty stout enough for any towels and stuff you're going to put on it. That's what we're going to use it for. You could do a dado in there and slide the shelf in there, and that's going to make it even stronger. I built a bookcase, and that's what we did with that. So, and I did that, and then also the door here. I did dados in there for the door and tendons on the end here to slide up in here. So, and basically what I used, like you seen earlier in the video, is a dado blade and my table saw to cut that. That gets a little tricky. I need quite a bit of practice on that. But anyway, I just want to be an inspiration. Just use what you got. And I promise you, this cabinet here will outdo any big box store operation cabinet you can find, probably. It's going to outlast it by far. So, but anyway, thanks for watching. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. See you on the next one.